thousands of lives were saved after the intervention of the Israel Air Forces. They stopped them. We're very thankful for the intervention of Israel. If Israel had not intervened in Sweden, we would not have been doing this interview at the moment today.
Today's guest has spent the past several years documenting one of the most overlooked conflicts in the Middle East. Bahaa Abu Hamid is a Druze activist, architect, and war correspondent from Sweida in southern Syria. Through his work with Jethro Press, he has reported from the front lines of the conflict, documenting the humanitarian crisis, the suffering of civilians, and the uncertain future facing Syria's Druze community. In 2025, the province of Sweida was shaken by devastating sectarian violence that left hundreds dead, thousands displaced, and raised urgent questions about the future of Syria, the safety of its minorities, and the role Israel may play in protecting them. Today, we'll discuss what Bahaa personally witnessed, what the world still doesn't understand about Sweida, whether Syria's new leadership can be trusted, Israel's intervention, and whether peace between Syria and Israel is possible. Bahaa, welcome.
And thank you, Daniel, for having us. It's a great pleasure. Shalom from Mount Bashar.
It's definitely an honor to have you. Bahaa, let's go from the beginning. Who is Bahaa Abu Hamid? Tell us about your childhood growing up in Sweida. What was it like before the Syrian civil war? And take us back and paint us a picture of what it was like back then.
I was born in Sweden. And I traveled to the Sultanate of Oman. I had my studies there, where I lived for more than 9 years there. In 2008, we came back to Syria. After a couple of years, the civil war started, which we went on for more than 15 years. I was doing my architecture master degree in conservation of historical buildings in Damascus. And after the Assad fall, the situation was going to the worst. Even though Assad was a big dictator, but once al-Julani went on ruling Syria, the situation regarding the minorities started to go worse and worse. So I had to go back to Sweida, my hometown, once the attack started on the Alawis in the Syrian coast. And we started to spread what was going there, documenting the stuff that the violations that the HTS government was doing against the Alawis minorities. And once we started going in the process, we were receiving a lot of threats. And once you come back to Damascus or travel outside of Sweida, we're going to attack you and imprison you, to be honest. So the situation escalated after the Alawis turning to the Druze, where they were living in rural Damascus, in Jaramana and Shafiyat Sahnaya, where a lot of massacres there happened before the massacres happened in Sweida, or the attacks started in Sweida. So we were all prepared here for what was going to happen. All the signs were clear that Sweida is going to be next. And you know what happened after that. Once the HTS government came here, it was a systematic genocide. The only reason that they were killing people was that they were Druze, and there was nothing else to say about that. A lot of women were raped, people were kidnapped, sheikhs from the Druze religion were insulted, their mustaches were cut with scissors and shaved before killing them in a humiliating way. And that raised a lot of concerns because we had all to defend our land from these monsters. We can't describe them in elsewhere. And people all in Sweden, most of the people are civilians. They all had to hold their arms to defend their women, houses, and their land. And with the support of the state of Israel, when it intervened, these people, they started running away with their tails between their legs, and they started running. And they went outside Sweida after 4 days, I think, or more. The first attack was from the HTS government itself. There were military forces and security forces that were related to the HTS government. That's the de facto authorities that's ruling Syria at the moment. And after the treaty was going on, they went outside Sweida and they changed their clothes. Most of them are from ISIS, HTS, people who are ideologically Islamic. And their sheikhs and in their mosque, they were all saying that you have to go and do jihad in Sweida. And after finishing from Sweida, you're going to go to Israel and do your jihad there. So the situation was catastrophic, to be honest, and we had to defend it because you did either ways. And in our beliefs, you have to protect your land and your elderly and your women, even though if it costs you your life.
Did you ever imagine that you would become a war correspondent in Sweida? Did you imagine that growing up?
It happened all by itself. We needed people to document the events that were happening here. And my situation was different because I'm an English speaker. So I was trying to spread the message to the international world. Maybe they would wake up or intervene. To be honest, no one intervened except the state of Israel. Our message was to spread what was going on the ground because most of the media outlets are banned till this day from entering Sweden. We had a French journalism group and a British journalism group that were trying to enter Sweden in the past couple of months, and they were banned at the last checkpoint that belongs to the de facto authorities, and their concern was they were coming in Sweden to meet bad people or evil people. That was why they were banned from entering Sweden, even though they had all the paperwork for the site. They were given access to enter Sweden, even though they were banned from entering. And the truth is, they don't want anyone to come and see the truth by their own eyes. Before that, a couple of media outlets and groups entered Sweden. Tourists, American Jewish tourists, was also banned from entering Sweden. And their obstacles are all lies. And you're going to an unsafe location, you're going to meet evil people, we won't allow you to enter Sweden. And the truth is, they don't want everyone to see the reality. The buildings here in Sweden are mostly still burned down to this day. We have more than 35, I think, villages that are still occupied by the HTS forces. More than 180,000 displaced people all over Sweden or Bahaa Mountain. And we have a lot of people who have been forcibly disappeared and kidnapped, and they're still being hostages in their prisons. This is another issue, the missing people and the issue of the forcibly disappeared is one of our main concerns till this day. They're holding people as hostages. The route between Damascus and Sweida is unsafe. A lot of cars from our side have been shot by guns, thrown by rocks from the Bedouins and the Damascus security forces. Last week, a doctor, I think, or a person who works in the medical field was shot down and his car was completely destroyed. Before that, a woman was shot and a couple of other people that were in the same bus were also injured. So the road still until this day is not safe. They're trying to attack us even in the way from Sweida to Damascus. So we are still under siege till this day, even though they spread rumors that there is not siege on Sweida, but that's not true. In the last month, we had 60 people injured from the ceasefire violations from their checkpoints towards the city center. We were attacked by drone attacks and missiles and bomb shelling. These things are all documented and they're on all night. So everyone can see the evidence on the ground. They're violating the ceasefire on a daily basis. And every now and then we're being hit by drones attack, where they see groups of people, even though they're civilians. The injuries are recorded in the hospital in the last month. It exceeded 60 injuries and 3 people that were killed.
Did your family support your decision of becoming a war journalist? Obviously, it's risky. Have you ever thought that you weren't going to come home one day?
Yeah, and what I feel is that I'm in a situation where I have to spread the voice of my people, the families, the stories that I saw, the dead bodies that I saw on the ground. We will not forget, and we will never forget what they did to us. There's always risk. In a lot of situations where we're earlier, like 6 months ago, we had to escort a Spanish media group, and we had to go to a frontline location. We were all we set up, and we went into the location. Once that HTS regime saw us documenting in the area. We were attacked by 3 drones, so we had to evacuate immediately. And alhamdulillah, no one was hurt at the moment. But there's always a chance that you might not come home. That's a risk I'm going to take till the day I die.
Now, take us back to what was the first thing you witnessed? I believe it was in July 2025, right? This massacre. What did you see? Where were you? What are the images still in your mind from that
So
time?
we were here from day one on the ground defending our land and people. We didn't want to go out. A lot of people who had women and younger children and babies had to travel to rural areas to protect their families. For us, we stayed and we had an oath to protect our land till the last breath. In the same time, we were documenting everything that happened. The first thing I saw is my neighbor who was who tried to defend his home from his window, and the whole building was shot by heavy weapons and burned to ashes. I saw his dead body once I entered the house that was totaled, and I posted everything on social media at the time. The second thing that I saw was a dead body that was covered with a white sheet on the ground. I thought it was a body of the attackers. And once I raised the sheet, I saw that it was his wife, and her hands were cut off just to steal the jewelries that she was wearing. That was very heartbreaking, to be honest. We went through a lot of cases while documenting in the rural areas. I went to the vegetable market that was also totaled. There was always graffitis on the wall. And the walls also documented and posted saying aggressive stuff against the Druze, that they were here to kill you. Beni Umayyah, which they represent themselves, the current regime, it's here to stay, Allahu Akbar, and all this stuff was graffitied on the walls. While I was moving in the area, which was totally unsafe, I found a dead body, and the dead body had onions around it. Maybe some people threw the onions around it, so diseases won't stop or something else. I posted after documenting the event, and I got a message on Instagram from a girl that was saying, if you could please send me a screenshot of the dead body. We believe that it might be our dad. So I zoomed in the picture and I sent it to her. And unfortunately, it was very hard to her find out her missing dad from a week or less than a week was thrown and murdered in a vegetable market. This is some of the stuff that we face meeting with people who were injured is okay, but meeting with women that were raped is very harsh, and something in their ideology, raping us, stealing our houses, burning down our houses. This is something that is not acceptable at all in any community. The Jewish people are people of peace, but they have to get the land, and that's why they were holding their weapons to defend their and their land from these monsters.
Now, were children and women deliberate targets for them?
They didn't spare anyone, to be honest. Once they started entering Sweida from the main access from Al-Masra, towards Sweida, all of the houses were burned and then robbed. They were robbed and then burned. They take all of the stuff that's valuable in the houses, do some graffiti works, because they're artists of terrorism. And then they burn down the houses and they film themselves. They feel proud of burning the houses of the Druze because it's from their religion. Their women should be raped. That's what they say. Their houses should be burned down. And their men should be beheaded or their heads should be cut off. So we saw all of these scenarios. I saw a sheikha, which is female of a sheikh, that was on the ground line for, I think, 2 days on the second day. And once they were trying to move her, to bury her in the ground, they raised her. She had the head shell on her, and her head fell and started rolling in the ground. That was a big thing. She's a woman. She wouldn't be, if they're saying that she's a military, no, she's a woman. I mean, if the woman with her head was cut off, and I saw the head rolling on the ground, that was also very heartbreaking. All of the stuff that we saw in the first couple of days, we had to adjust because the war was not over. We had a long fight, and now after a year, we stand at the same position.
This sounds so much like October 7th of what they did
Exactly.
to the cities surrounding Gaza.
Exactly. That's of October
Um,
7th, the same massacres, the same ideology, the same victims for no reason, just because they have certain beliefs that they should be living and other people has to die for them. The thing that happened in Sweida is very similar to October 7th. This is what happened to us with the Holocaust, and the people who attacked us remind us of the Nazis. The things that they did are the same things that the Nazis did to the Jews. And that's another thing that makes us connected with the Israeli people.
do you feel like there's not enough attention to this story of what happened? Do you feel like the massacre is not getting enough attention as it
I
should?
think the media outlets are paid by Turkey, Qatar, and a lot of people that are supporting the de facto authority. Most of the stuff that we wanted to let out was banned one way or the other. And as I told you before, we will live, our social media accounts get attacked on a systematic way to block us from spreading the message. Enough attention, to be honest, no, we don't have enough attention regarding our case, other than the Israeli community and the people of Israel and the state of Israel. Other media outlets only spread what supports the current de facto authorities. The case on the ground is completely different. And from our point of view, it's different from the lies that they are spreading. They tried in a lot of ways, and from us, from a journalism perspective, we try to cross all the information and give out the output of the truth at the end of the day. And to be honest, you're fighting Turkey and Qatar, Saudi Arabia, a lot of outlets that are putting millions and billions of dollars to make sure that Al-Julani stays in his position for their own benefits.
Now, how organized was this attack? What role did the Bedouin militias play, the government forces, the foreign jihadists? Were they all coming in together? How well was
It
this
was
organized?
completely organized in a dramatic way. First, what they had to do with, they started the attack from inside Sweida, where the Bedouins inside Sweida started attacking the Druze civilians. And then they had a reason to come in and intervene to break this fight, but that's completely not true. What happened is the Bedouins started to kidnap people from the Druze community, and that's what escalated the issue. Once they came inside, they were escorted with people with a lot of international passports. Some of them were from Shishan, others were from Uzbek. We have met prisoners and journalists and interviewed them. Most of them have international nationalities, and they're not Syrians, as they say. And they came here to al-jihad, and that's what they said. They came here because what they told them is that the Jews are infidels. They have to fight them. Once they finished their fight with the Druze, they were going past Jabal Bashan towards Israel and start their fight with Israel. And the attacks started with the security forces and the military forces. Once there was an international treaty for their withdrawal after Israel and the United States intervened, they went outside the borders of Sweida. They removed all their clothes and patches that say ISIS on their head, and they were wearing Bedouin clothes. But some of them were killed in the field, and you can see their military clothes under the abaya. I think that they were Bedouins. Some of their IDs were also found as well. So the enemy is one, but the name is different. Some of them call them Bedouins, but at the end of the day, they were all related to the current de facto authorities, and the orders were from Al-Julani to attack Sweida. It was not only Bedouins or foreign fighters, they were all collected, joined, and led into Sweida to kill the troops. It's a systematic genocide. Systematic genocide. That's the accurate word for it.
Yeah. Now, are you worried that this could happen again? What is the Druze community doing to kind of protect themselves?
Yeah, after the attacks, the National Guard was formed. The National Guard had all of the military bodies in Sweida in one formation. It's the National Army for the Druze, the Bashan Mounted. It's well organized. We believe that the National Guard is in a position to protect us from any attack, and they're all spread on the borders of Sweida, protecting our land, even though they're getting violated the violation from the ceasefire treaty, and the many of the National Guard soldiers were killed and injured as well. We're going through the international law, if that's the term. National Guard never attacks any checkpoint outside Sweida, but once we are attacked by any checkpoint, we are authorized to attack the same point that fired at us. So that's one case that the people of the National Guard are the true protectors of the Jabal Bashan, and the people here in Sweida are have their beliefs that the state of Israel, our ally, will stand with us in case these monsters think again of attacking Sweida. We will fight till the end, even though if we will die.
Now, what is daily life like today in Sweida? Do families have enough food and water, enough medicine, supplies? What is it like
The
right
first
now?
couple of days last year, it was catastrophic. We were out of electricity for more than 12 days. There was no drinking water available, food shortage. We were completely under siege, and they cut the internet connections. That's why we had to use Starlink internet access. And the communication through mobile or data was cut from the government so that we couldn't communicate with each other inside Sweden, and the news couldn't get outside of Sweden of what they did here. After a while, the situation was a bit better, but until this day, the electricity is most of the day down. We use solar power for electricity, and the internet gets cut down once they want to do a violation of a ceasefire, or they want to do some kind of mess here in Sweida. They cut the internet connection as well as the GSM connection. So there's another issue that's bothering us at the day, which is the education. A lot of students here, more than 30,000 students, were deprived from their education here in Sweida, and they asked them to do their exams in Damascus, which is completely unsafe. As I told you, that the road is not at all safe, and it's not logical for a student to wake up at 5 o'clock and travel for 2 hours to an area in Damascus under the threat of these people who were bound to kill us. And they're all little kids and students of 12th grade, 9th grade. And you have to travel to Damascus and do your exam and go back to Sweden. And it's something that they deprive students from education. That's another severe case that we're facing until this day. More than 12 to 13,000 students were deprived from their education. It's a big problem. They're also fighting education because they know education is better to weapon. Sweida before was the only place in the region, in Syria, to be honest, that had no illiteracy since 2008. So they're trying to destroy it. Once they came here and attacked us, they killed the engineers, they killed the doctors, they killed the people of high degrees. It's another way to deprive here the people from their elite.
For those people that don't know, who are the Druze people and why have these Islamic extremists repeatedly targeted the Druze community?
We have been targeted because we don't want to be under the ruling of Al-Qaeda. That's the only reason. We were going back and forth and trying in all of the ways before that attack. And in the end of the day, these people showed their real character, that they were hiding behind the mask. Al-Julani, who calls himself Ahmed al-Sharar, is a terrorist of Al-Qaeda who then went to HTS, and now he's wearing a suit and a tie. But behind the suit and a tie, there's a suicide bomb. And I don't know why the international community until this day is ignoring this issue, because what happened to us today might happen in Europe and in Malaysia and America. So this should be a huge concern. They're trying to stand still here and control the area, but once they spread, they're going to spread like cancer. The Druze people, I think you have met them in Israel, the peaceful society. We have our own beliefs. That's not same as Islam or the Islamic religion, and that's the reason why we always get attacked, because our beliefs are different, and in their beliefs we're infidels. and it's allowed to kill us, and they go to heaven if they kill a Druze people or a Jew or a Christian. Christians in Spain also were attacked. A lot of churches here were burned down and was documented. Other than the churches, there were people from the Christian community that were beheaded and killed here in Sweida. And yeah, I mean, that's another issue. They didn't spare anyone, whether it's a Christian or a Druze. Everyone was beheaded and killed. Yeah, and it's a big concern for us. These people, we don't want them anywhere near us. American citizens, I don't know if you know it, but also American citizens in Sweden were killed. People from Al Saraya family, they were dragged from their houses to a roundabout that was called the Shrira roundabout. And the whole family, which had 7 men, were put on the side, and they opened fire on them, and it was photographed from their cameras. And 2 of them had American passports. They were American citizens that were killed here in Sweden by the HTS regime. These people don't spare any of us. I don't know till this day why the international community is still keeping quiet on these criminals that are ruling the area and spreading like cancer.
Do you believe that the Druze people have a future inside of Syria? Would independence ever be realistic?
Yeah, I mean, we see that independence is the best option that we have at the moment, and which is better for the future of the upcoming generation. We hope for independence. We don't want to be part of the so-called Syria that we have been lied about for years and years. The area here, the location in Jebel Bachan and the area of Bachan is a large area. And with the help of our allies, we can make a society which has through organizations, through government that represents the Druze community. We don't want to be any more part of this Syria. The only way to protect ourselves from upcoming massacres and upcoming attacks is to have our own area with our own protection, the National Guard Army, and people can here live safely, whether they're Druze or Christians. This is the only way out from the disaster that's going on in the region around us. We're surrounded by terrorists from Al Dara'a location, Damascus location, from the south and the north and everywhere. And our only way out is to have our own area, our own independence. Maybe people say that we don't have enough resources. There are a lot of resources. One of the main resources is the humans here in Sweden. Their mentality, their way of thinking, their education, other than the tourist resources that we have here in Sweden, and the national resources that we also have here. Resources is not a big part at the moment, but gaining our independence saves us and saves the future generations of the Jews and the Christian community.
Now, how has Syria changed since the fall of Assad? Are minorities less safe now than they were under his rule?
Al-Assad was a big dictator, and his dad was also a big dictator. We were against Al-Assad. Everyone knows that once the so-called Syrian revolution started to fade after 14 years, the revolution started to uprise back again. Since 3 years here in Spain, there were a lot of protests against Al-Assad in Sahab al-Karama, led by Sheikh Hikmat al-Hajami, who was very, very supportive of these protests against the Al-Assad regime. After the Al-Assad regime fell, people who went and ruled Syria are way worse than this dictator. We hated Bashar, but we hate al-Julani even worse. The things that he did, we didn't face a lot. And to be honest, the Druze and Christians, we didn't face this kind of violations or massacres when Assad, the dictator, was ruling. And once STS went and got over the rule, things went to the worst. And in all the locations in Syria, until this day, there is a lot of kidnapping. There is a crisis on a daily basis on all of the regions. There is the economical crisis. The prices are way too high. The electricity has been made in the private sector, and people are suffering on a daily basis. Women are being women are facing a big tragedy at the moment in their parts where the SCS government is ruling. They have to wear scars. They are not getting all of their rights. Their rights has been withdrawn from them. They have to be strictly in the Islamic State, right?
Now, growing up, what were you taught about Israel, and has your opinion changed about Israel in any way over the
I
years?
didn't have my education here in Syria, but mainly while Assad was ruling Syria, he had Israel as his enemy. The Druze people here in Sweden exactly have relatives all over Israel, all over Lebanon, Jordan, and we know what the truth behind Israel is. You people also picked the same media outlets that were working against you and showing a different kind of image. But months after the 15th of last July, as we call it, happened, and we saw the support of the Jewish people, government, and the people of Israel, everything was clear, even of, for the people or the people that were raised and educated here, and they were brainwashed. They found that their true friend was Israel, and they knew who was the real enemy. And it doesn't, yani, it's not hidden. If you come someday here to Sweida, you can find flags on Israel all over wherever you go. People wear it on hats, t-shirts. The flags are on the houses, meaning roundabouts. We have also here a flag of Israel behind the camera, held under the AC. So we love Israel, and we love it even more after their support towards the Druze community when the whole world stood still and didn't help us while we were attacked and massacred. The point of view for a lot of people has changed. Maybe some people were brainwashed earlier, and now the case is clear.
Were you surprised that Israel intervened? And did Israel save many lives? How many lives do you think that they saved potentially from intervening?
Thousands of lives were saved after the intervention of the Israel Air Forces. They stopped them. Our people we were not military trained. We're civilians. We tried to protect ourselves by Kalashnikov or normal weapons. But once the Air Forces came and started hitting the tanks, and they hit the military ministry of the ministry in Damascus, once they striked it in Damascus, all of them stopped the attack, and they were scared, and they know that we were backed up from Israel. After this, it was a turning point because they had to withdraw most of the tanks that were attacked, and we're very thankful for the intervention of Israel. If Israel had not intervened in Sweida, we would not have been doing this interview at the moment today.
Do you think that there are people in Sweida that would want to move over to Israel and live in the Druze areas of Israel?
I think the people are very open, and we were demonstrating and requesting a corridor that connects Sweida to Israel, a humanitarian corridor, because I think it's going to be very helpful for the Druze community here, and it can make a path between the people here and people of Israel. And I think it should be considered way more than short on the media. People here are very welcoming to the Israeli people, and we would love to travel to Israel, visit also the sacred places there. Jethro, the Prophet Jethro's sanctuary. In the future, inshallah.
What do Syrians misunderstand about Israel? What are they fed on the media, and what do they say about Israel? Regular Syrians, not just the Druze people, but regular Syrians.
I think it was faced with the older generations while Assad was ruling through the education system and through their media that Israel is the enemy. It was only for his own benefits that he was brainwashing all of the people. But today, after Julani is ruling Syria, it's in another perspective because he sees Israeli people, or to be exact, the Jewish people or community, as a threat and enemy because of ideological thinking. And that's a big concern. It's not a fight for location or a fight for areas. It's only they hate the Jews because they don't go along with them, and the religion says that the Jews should be killed, as well as the Druze, as well as the Christians.
Do Syrian Druze feel connected to the Israeli Druze? And has this crisis strengthened that relationship
I think
between
the
them?
crisis has very much strengthened the connection between the Druze here and the Druze in Israel. The Druze community as well in Israel was very helpful and supportive. Till this day, we are in fact contact with our relatives there. And in the first couple of days, they were crying upon us with the things that happened to us. So a big thank you also to the Druze community in Israel. What connect us with the Druze community is a relative state, because we believe as well as, in retaliation, some of us used to live in the state to our belief in Israel. And in the future, you might die and be born there, and you might die in Israel and be born here, or some. Yeah, and it's an ideological state. We feel a huge connection between the Druze here and the Druze of Israel.
When you speak to the Druze in Israel, what are their experiences in Israel? How do they
They're
feel
very-
about Israel? Like,
They're very
generally.
happy to be born in Israel. And they're very happy to be part of a real state. They have all of their rights. They're dealing with people who have the same kind of mentality. They, they're proud to be Israeli Druze. That's what they say.
Yeah, definitely. And we're proud to have them. It's some of the best citizens in Israel are the Druze, and also in the army. What are your thoughts on the United States, President Trump, obviously bringing in the new leader to the White House and treating him the way he does? Does this kind of anger the community, the Druze community, of how the United States treats this leader and this new leadership?
Yeah, and once the sanctions were removed from this terrorist, that was a red flag for us. And once we saw him in Washington and President Trump putting curriculum on him, that was a big concern for us. We hope in the near future that President Trump discovers that this person is still a terrorist hiding under his food, and he's a big threat. And he's a big threat as Iran, but he has still not been triggered. Once he's been triggered, he's gathering his army with millions of people, and he's going to destroy the whole area. So we hope that President Trump in the near future figures out that this person should be kept in handcuffs, not in the presidential palace in Damascus.
And what role is Turkey playing in what's happening in Syria
Turkey
right
is
now?
trying to extend as much as they can from its territory, and it's very supportive for the current de facto authority. Yeah, and to us, they played a very negative role. They supported the so-called Syrian army with weapons and artillery that entered Sweida while the massacres were happening. So for us, Turkey, from ages, if we go back in history, they don't go along with the Druze, and they see the Druze as their enemies, and they have the same ideology as the Muhammad al-Julani. So they get along, and I think that's a big red flag as well. Turkey has Islamic ideology that also should be kept away from the people who want to live in peace and prosperity.
Yeah. What do you think about the Islamic regime of Iran, and what role do they play?
Islamic regime of Iran is we also got we got some bad impact from the Islamic regime of Iran. One of their rockets fell here in Sweida and people were killed. The Islamic regime of Iran is similar to HTF, but in a different perspective of Islam. They see other people who don't go along with them, with their ideology as enemies, and they open fire towards civilians and people who want to live safely. And we were going along that path because we can see all the rockets that came from Iran towards Israel. People here, while we were watching the rockets at night, wish they could help Israel and shoot down the rockets from here so that they can't reach the house of the civilians in Israel. So the enemy is one, whether it's Ahmad al-Julani or the Islamic regime of Iran. We see them as the same threat. But we have been faced with the threat of Abu Muhammad al-Julani directly.
Do you believe that there's hope that one day you'll be reporting from a Syria that's going to be at peace, where minorities are not threatened, where the Druze can thrive without fearing of who's coming for them? Do you believe that there's hope for
I
the
hope to
future?
be reporting from Israel in the future. We don't have any hope with these people because it's not a case of a government that's ruling Syria at the moment. We were attacked from all of the provinces. They all gathered themselves to attack us. So to us, the Syrians are history. To us, we don't want to be connected with these people who came all from all the provinces, gathered themselves, came here and slaughtered kids. These two kids in boiling water. These kind of mentalities, we don't want to be with them in any form or way. We want to be in our own geolocation here. We want to be in Mount Pakistan, have our own independence away from these people. If I have a dream, it will be to be supporting Israel, not from so-called Syria.
You're definitely welcome to come live in Israel. As I said, we love the Druze people. And I want to thank you for your time and thank you for speaking with me. I truly eye-opening conversation. Unfortunately, like we said, the media doesn't really report these
That's your
things.
duty.
So it's good that we're exactly. So that's why we're going straight to the source to speak about it. Bahaa, Abu Ahmed, I truly appreciate it. If you want to leave us off with a final message, or how can people find you, your social media or whatever, please,
Thank
floor
you,
is yours.
Dino, for your time. It's been a pleasure to spread out our message. Our message to the international community is wake up. Wake up. What's happening to us today might happen to you tomorrow. This is not a joke. This is a terrorist organization that is spreading like cancer. We would love to, as well as all of my friends and relatives here in Sweida, thank the government of Israel, Baby Netanyahu, the people of Israel, the Druze community in Israel for all the support and help during the crisis, and the Israeli Air Forces that intervened in the right time and saved us from a lot of massacres that would happen. And as I told you earlier, if the Israeli army, the IDF, they didn't intervene, we were not able to do this interview at the moment, and we would all be dead. And you can find me on Instagram at Bob_Abu_Hamid, and that's my official social media. Bob.Abu.
Amazing. Thank you again, and wishing you all the best.
And it has
Thank you.
been a huge pleasure for us.
Likewise.